People are walking out of hour-long meetings without a single handwritten word, and somehow receiving a complete, structured summary minutes later. That behavior shift is already happening across offices, lecture halls, and video calls worldwide. This video explains exactly which apps are driving it, why it accelerated, and what it quietly reveals about how human memory is being handed off to machines. Let's start with the moment the change became impossible to ignore. Segment 1. The behavior that replaced the notebook. For most of recorded professional history, someone in the room took notes. That person was either the most junior, the most organized, or the most anxious about forgetting something important. The notebook, the legal pad, the open laptop, these were signals that attention was being paid. That signal is disappearing. Apps like Otter, AI, Fireflies, AI, and Notion AI are now joining calls automatically, transcribing every word in real time, and generating summaries before the meeting window even closes. A user does not opt in during the call. The app was already there, waiting. The result is a full record of what was said, who said it, and what action items were assigned, without a single human hand moving across a page. The first surprising payoff is this: in many workplaces, the person who used to take notes has simply stopped. Not because they were told to. Because the app made the habit feel unnecessary. That is not a small change. That is a rewiring of how professional attention works. And the shift did not stay inside corporate meetings. That leads directly to the next pattern. Segment 2. Lectures, voice memos, and the students who stopped writing. University students were among the earliest adopters of AI transcription tools, and the adoption pattern was not gradual. Tools like Notion AI and Microsoft OneNote's integrated AI features began appearing in lecture recordings and study group sessions. Students reported using them not to skip class, but to free their attention during class, listening more actively because they knew the record was being handled. The practical detail worth noting: several universities have begun updating academic integrity policies specifically to address AI-generated lecture summaries. That policy response is a reliable signal that the behavior has crossed from early adopter into wide use. Voice memo apps followed a similar arc. Apps like Whisper-based tools and Clover AI began converting casual spoken thoughts, a grocery list, a half-formed idea recorded while walking, into organized, searchable text. The voice memo, which most people never revisited, became a retrievable document. The friction between having a thought and capturing it dropped close to zero. The question that follows is obvious: if capturing is effortless, what happens to the act of deciding what matters? Segment 3. Why this is happening now, not 3 years ago. The underlying technology, speech-to-text, large language models, summarization, existed in rough form for years. The reason the behavior shift is visible now comes down to 3 specific changes that arrived close together. First, accuracy crossed a usability threshold. Earlier transcription tools produced enough errors that correction took longer than writing by hand. Current models handle accents, overlapping speakers, and technical vocabulary well enough that most outputs require minimal editing. Second, integration became frictionless. These tools no longer require a separate app or a manual export step. They live inside Zoom, inside Google Meet, inside Notion, inside the tools people already had open. The decision to use them became the path of least resistance. Third, the cost dropped to near zero for individuals. Many of these features are now bundled into subscriptions people already pay for productivity software. The economic barrier that once separated enterprise users from individuals effectively disappeared. Those 3 changes arriving together explain why the behavior feels like it appeared without warning, even though the technology was building quietly for years. Segment 4. What gets filtered out? Here is the part that does not appear in the product demos. When an AI summarizes a meeting or a lecture, it is making decisions about what is worth preserving. A side comment, a moment of uncertainty, a question that went unanswered, these often disappear from the summary because the model is trained to extract conclusions and action items, not ambiguity. Human note-takers made the same filtering decisions, but they made them consciously, and the filter reflected their understanding of what mattered in context. An AI filter reflects a training objective. Those are not the same thing. Travel journalists and researchers who cover knowledge work have begun raising this question in professional forums. Are we building a more efficient record, or a flatter one? The evidence so far is directional, not conclusive, but the concern is gaining serious attention in fields where nuance is the whole point: law, medicine, academic research. The apps are genuinely useful. The behavior change is real and largely irreversible at this point. But the unresolved question is worth sitting with. If AI is quietly deciding what your meetings, lectures, and ideas are worth remembering, what happens to everything it decides to leave out? That question connects directly to something even more unsettling. AI systems are now being used to filter and prioritize your incoming information before you ever see it. If you want to understand how that works and what it means for decision-making, that explanation is coming next.